The IPU is about parliaments, by parliaments, and for parliaments. In times of a health crisis such as the current COVID-19 pandemic, the right to public health has never been so important. What the pandemic has shown us is that universal health coverage is a fundamental human right, perhaps the most important human right of them all, the right to good health and to life. Universal health coverage means that everyone has access to the health services they need, when and where they need them, regardless of income. No one should get sick and die because they are poor or because they cannot access the health services they need. That's why we are so pleased that we managed to pass the first ever global parliamentary resolution on universal health coverage at the end of last year at the 141st IPU Assembly in Belgrade, Serbia. This landmark resolution was the culmination of 10 years of efforts by the IPU to mobilize parliaments and parliamentarians so that the right to public health for all by 2030 becomes a reality. It started with a conversation between the then newly elected Director General of WHO, Dr. Tedros, and myself from the IPU in this very office. I asked him what we could do to scale up our cooperation with the World Health Organization. He said we need parliaments to enshrine in law the right to universal health coverage. And barely a year and a half later, all 179 IPU member parliaments adopted the first ever global parliamentary resolution on universal health care. What is an IPU resolution and why is it so important? An IPU resolution is the first step to help parliaments put in place legislation, vote in budgets, and put pressure on governments to make universal health care for all a reality. It acts as a blueprint and a manifesto for parliaments around the world. This is just one example of the impact that we had last year. You can discover many more in our 2019 Impact Report. From promoting democracy, helping parliaments to become stronger, younger, more effective institutions, to promoting women in politics, making parliaments more gender balanced, freer from sexism and harassment, to defending and lobbying for the human rights of hundreds of abused or persecuted parliamentarians around the world, to organizing 2 successful assemblies in Qatar and Serbia, and numerous other events around the world, to empowering thousands of parliamentarians to act on a vast gamut of issues including climate change, education, the economy, countering terrorism, and the sustainable development as a whole. Not bad for an organization that started out in 1889 with just a handful of parliamentarians from just 6 or 9 countries. We have come a long way indeed. As a matter of fact, in 2019, we celebrated our 130th anniversary with a record 179 national parliaments and 13 parliamentary bodies as members of the organization. To conclude, 130 years after our foundation, as we approach universal membership, we can say the IPU is truly the global organization of parliaments. Our objective has remained constant over this past 13 decades to empower the world's 46,000 parliamentarians to promote peace, democracy, and sustainable development. The IPU is about parliaments, by parliaments, and for parliaments.